Today, we're going to talk about some ancient textbooks. Check this out. If you're new here, I post videos on esoteric, occult, self-transformation, any books that help you grow or just spark your knowledge. Today I'm going to talk about some books that I have in my library that are more on ancient texts. These books, even though they're reprints, they were books found years ago, way before any organization, religious organization, anything like that, found in either stone, ancient bamboo, and papyrus paper from Egypt. And I just thought it was so cool to get these kind of books to see what's out there. And this was written way back before anything. For me, wouldn't that seem more truthful? I mean, that's how I would see, that's how it would be. So the first book that I have that is more on ancient texts is the Kybalion. I don't know if I'm saying that. The Kybalion. Hermetic Philosophy. 3 Initiations. This was a book that was written, I actually don't know. Let me see. This was a book that was written way back in the ancient Egypt and Greece time. And the reason why these are the study of ancient Egypt and Greece is because when they found this knowledge in ancient papyrus text in Egypt or in Greece, a lot of the story that they share were very similar. Interesting because even though they're not too far from each other, they're across the Mediterranean, maybe knowledge was shared. But that's interesting how one was in Greek and one was in Egyptian. And I highly recommend this book. This is recommended by so many different mindset coaches that I listen to, maybe YouTube, people on mindset, personal growth, transformation. And they really talk about a lot of where the mind and the thoughts and things come from. And I think it's so interesting because it just talks about different laws of the cause and effect and just ancient texts, really old texts. So this is probably one of the best. If someone talks about ancient texts and how to grow your mind, they're probably referring for one book would be the Kybalion. And I highly recommend this book. The next book is the Tao Te Ching, and it's the same as that Tao Te Ching. I do have a lot of books on the Tao Te Ching. I have this cool one. It's pictures and art of it. That's why I like, having different versions. But the reason why I thought this was so cool is because when I looked at this book, I know other ones are translations, but this one is actually translating directly from the bamboos that they found in the ground on this writings. Egypt used papyrus. Other cultures uses the wall stone. Asia, a lot of times they use bamboo and they wrote it on bamboo, and apparently they found this deep in the ground and it was the Tao Te Ching. So another cool book. It's just, they found it in 1993 and this is from thousands of years ago and they were called bamboo scrolls. This version of the Tao Te Ching I would recommend. The next one is The Life and Teachings of Thoth, what they called in Egypt, Hermes. This is more of one of the ancient gods in Egypt were Thoth. I did get a papyrus of Thoth in Egypt when I was there. They mentioned Hermes as well because Hermes was the version of Thoth in Greece. And this again is ancient text writing, found it in stone, in hieroglyphics. That's where they found it. Before there's papyrus in Egypt, they used stone as well. And they used the very first alphabet in the world is the hieroglyphics of drawing different pictures on the wall to have a meaning. That's where they found the knowledge. And then, so this is another good book. The only thing was old text is kind of hard to decipher and read. But once you really get into it and find translation, it's good. Once you find more translations, you'll be able to understand more. The next book is called Ancient Egyptian Magic by H.P. Blavatsky. But H.P. Blavatsky was one of the, they called them, back then, was one of the forward thought thinkers of the past. And it was a woman, so it's awesome to see. She's the one who wrote The Secret Doctrine, who traveled the world to see what are the connections with the mind and there's more to life. There's something else out there. And then she also wrote this other book, I know I digress sometimes, called The Land of the Gods. And she said that she did visit the Shambhala. Shambhala is a hidden area, what they say back in ancient Asian text. There's a hidden land of Shambhala within past Tibet, Nepal, in those areas. And this was cool too, because again, when I read Blavatsky's information, it feels more truthful. It's hard sometimes to read the understanding, but I can see where she was getting at. She was back in the day, she was really trying to share this information that they were trying to keep hidden through different organizations, different things, to believe that your mind is not you and that you can't control it, and that other outside circumstances control you, whether it be organizations, religions, certain things like that. But yeah, that's why I always believe in this. And remember, take it with a grain of salt. You do you, do what works for you, and discern what works and what discerns not. But for me, I always make sure I want the truth. I have a friend who loves truth seeking, and she knows that what is hidden, what is being hidden. So if you start reading books like this, maybe this is stuff that's being hidden, and because they don't want you to know that you are a spiritual being living a physical reality, and just you are more to your life than just this sitting here, just like being you and just go day to day. There's so much more to you. Ancient Egyptian magic. The next one is the Emerald Tablet of Hermes. So again, Emerald Tablet, apparently like way back in the day, they found emerald tablets. It was written by Tooth in Egypt, but then they also say that it was based on the Greek, that it was in Greek. It's very interesting how they always believe in so below is as above is so below. There's always like one mind, and we're all one universal mind. It's interesting because this is the Greek version, and then there's the Egyptian version with the Emerald Tablets of Tooth. They're very similar. There's a reason why they're very similar, because this knowledge is actually, it's interesting. Like they found this again on stone, and I find anything that's really old text, like really look into it. There's a lot of information that's been filtered out, you just want to make sure you get the right information and the right recipe. It's like baking a cake, following a recipe that you think is right, but the cake recipe that you have replaced sugar with salt, and it doesn't taste the best after when you bake it. Were you following the right recipe? And the next book I got was the Dead Sea Scrolls collection. They call it the first Bible of all time. So again, this was written way before the Bible, and apparently they found these scrolls in the Dead Sea and they were hiding them. Whoever put them there wanted to hide the information. Again, it was on papyrus. It was just near, it wasn't actually in the Dead Sea, but I believe it was right next to it. But when they discovered these, they were like, wow, this information, they discovered in 1947 and then again in 1956, another set of Dead Sea Scrolls. So I find it so interesting. They're finding all this knowledge, being able to transcribe it. That's the only thing. When people translate it, it's like the best translation they can do at the time. Luckily, we're able to get some translations on the Dead Sea Scrolls. Next is the Emerald Tablets of Thoth and the Atlantean. So this is the version, earlier I showed you the Greek version. This is the ancient Greek version. This is the ancient Egyptian version. And again, this was another great read on this aside to the Kabbalion, especially if you're into ancient Egypt. The reason why I read these books because before my trip to Egypt last year, I was gravitated to all this information. Like I wanted to know what, like, behind the history of Egypt. I was always gravitated going to visit Egypt, and there's something there. It's like that vortex, that pyramid. I know some people might be afraid to go, but once you're connected to that pyramid, once you go there, it's amazing. I don't know, for some reason, and I just visiting all those ancient sites, one of the oldest places I've seen in the world, pretty cool. The Emerald Tablets of Thoth and Atlantean. And the last book I got was more of, it's not like actual ancient text, but it's actually an interesting book on how the origin of paper came to rise. So this is called The Pharaoh's Treasure. And it's interesting because it shows different pictures in here of different writings on papyrus, what came about, bookmark from Egypt. And I just found it so interesting how, like, this book was gravitated to me. There's different hieroglyphics, there's different alphabet and letters that they use to write these different books. So far, good read, and yeah, really enjoy that. Thanks for watching my book haul. If you have not yet, please like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. See you in the next video.